Welcome everybody to the MiniMapCast. This is minimap.com.au's weekly games podcast, your favorite weekly games podcast. My name is Kerry Palmer. I'm joined by Jeremy Braditich.
Hello.
And Jeremy, I just had a moment just then listening to the intro.
Yes.
That I haven't, just a moment of presence that I haven't had during the intro in a long time.
Like
just thinking,
like a gift, present.
no, of not the past or the future.
Oh, like a right.
Of being in a place, and I just haven't heard our intro music. Like I've heard our intro music, but I just haven't like listened to it recently. And hearing it just then, I was like, man, I like our intro song.
It's really good. It's really good.
It's so good.
The
shout out to Shook.
Yeah. The latest album from Shook is the vinyl pressing test has been completed, so I'm looking forward to getting mine in the mail soonish. I should update my address to work, I think, that way.
Yes,
depending on which house I'm at any point, I think just getting it delivered to work is the safest option.
Yeah, we've got a number of important deliveries coming in the next couple of weeks, and it's like, I don't think we're signing another lease. Like, I think they're going to tell us we're going to leave.
Yeah, right.
Not yet. And so I am concerned that we will suddenly be told we have to move and things will get sent here and that whole kerfuffle.
Just before we jump in, have you been keeping up with these Nintendo Direct leaks that have come around?
With the Switch 2 leaks or
no,
I haven't heard any direct leaks.
Oh yeah, like almost the entire lineup for the next directors. Well, like not almost, but all the big announcements from the lineup have basically been.
This would be one scheduled for around October, right?
Yes.
If they're going off their their current cadence, which is every 4 months.
It's usually September. But
is it?
Yep. But we don't know when. Like, look, knowing our luck, it'll be announced in about 6 hours, and then spoken about over the next, like it'll be then like probably on Thursday or Friday.
Yeah. Okay. No, last year it was.
Yeah. No, like
as you said,
they do September directs. That's like a thing that Nintendo nearly.
So they do February. They do a June/E3 direct, and then they do a September direct. It looks like.
Yeah. Yeah.
In 21 they did it on the 23rd, so it might not be imminent.
But
what are you hearing?
Well, like I mean, like basically what I'm hearing is like for the most part, like there's a lot out there about what it is probably. Would you like to know some things?
Well, I don't know. You brought it up.
Well, the biggest one probably. Again, this is like it's from that Pyoro account who has done a lot of accurate leaking lately.
The sequel to The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is now in development.
Mario versus Bowser. Sorry, Mario versus Donkey Kong. Sorry. We'll be getting another one of those.
That's very exciting.
Yeah.
Wait, did they announce something for that recently, or no? What I'm thinking of the 2009 Remember E3 Patreon exclusive episode we watched where they announced a
that's
game,
really funny,
a Mario versus Donkey Kong game.
Yeah,
14 years ago.
There's apparently going to be a remake of a remake of a DS and Wii game.
DS and Wii game.
Well, so like this is remakes of a DS game and a Wii game. So I'm not sure exactly what that might be.
Separate games by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
Maybe Zelda?
Maybe. Which Wii game? Twilight Princess. I guess. Or Link's Crossbow Training. And perhaps we might be getting F-Zero X, which is wild to think about.
F-Zero X? Wasn't that a GameCube game?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's a GameCube game.
Either F-Zero X or there's like I think there's something about an F-Zero that might be happening. Yeah.
F-Zero X was the 64 game, and the GX was the GameCube game.
Right.
I don't think we've seen another one since.
Right. So it says the remakes of that DS and Wii game. The person leaking it has also said that the DS and the Wii game are related.
The DS and the Wii game are related, so maybe it's. Cripes, what is it?
I'm really not sure.
I'm thinking I'm trying to think Star Fox, but there wasn't really a Wii game for it. I'm trying to think Metroid, but there wasn't like a DS to go alongside, a DS release to go along. Oh, maybe.
Yeah, but like we know what they're doing for Metroid. It's like they're not.
Yeah.
Like it's Prime. Like that's not.
Yeah,
like
Prime 2, then Prime 3, or both.
Yeah, and then
it's
Prime
not like
4.
they're going to give us Prime Hunters.
No.
I tried playing that this year, and it was not fun.
That would be so funny if they did Prime Hunters before we got Prime 2, Prime 3, and Prime 4.
God.
After getting Prime 1. Yeah, I'm not sure what that DS and Wii game is. But yeah.
Linked Nintendo DS and Wii game.
You're just going to get games about Link.
Wii to DS connectivity from nintendo.fandom.com. No, this is just article saying Pioro teases remakes of a DS and Wii game.
Yeah, here we go. Pioro also liking tweets suggesting that F-Zero 99, because that Pac-Man one is going to get shut down. Game Boy Advance F-Zero is coming to Nintendo Switch Online, as well as the name of the Princess Peach game.
So on this Reddit thread, speculating on these rumors, there are a number of edits on this particular point.
Mm-hmm.
One of them says, apparently the DS remake isn't a remake of Mario vs. Donkey Kong. Edit 2, they're related. If it's first party, this narrows it down to Metroid Prime 3 and Metroid Hunters if it's first party. Edit 3. Pioro liked a tweet speculating the games were remakes of Another Code / Trace Memory.
Yeah,
basically
right.
confirmed now with his track record. What the hell is Another Code or Trace Memory?
I've heard of Another Code. I think they're just like JRPGs from way back when.
Yep, that's just a DS game. Yep, point and click adventure game.
There you go.
Well,
yeah, the Princess Peach game is apparently called Princess Peach Showtime. Just fine. There we go.
Okay. That one's weird.
Yeah.
That one's weird because they're like, it's like,
I don't know why they just announced that.
Of the RPG remake.
Yeah, but it also reminded me of well, like you said that last time, and I still don't super agree. But like it feels like it had the same similar vibe to Mario 3 in there, like it's all on a stage sort of thing. There were spotlights and stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't think it super looked like Mario RPG.
Oh, yeah. That's complete. I don't know where I got that from.
I don't know where you got that from either. I know that it was like shown off almost immediately after, but I remember you said that last time, and I think last time I also said like I don't think that's the case. But
what just misinformation I've been spreading for weeks and weeks now. I'm so sorry, everybody. Anyway, that's enough about like rumored news. We'll hear about that soon, no doubt.
Soon.
I can't believe we were talking about another trace or another memory or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Well, this week, everyone, we have lots to talk about, which you might be surprised to hear, considering how much we've waffled on at the start here. It's good though. But to get through the intro here, if you weren't aware, this is the MiniMapCast. This is minimap.com.au's weekly games podcast. You can go to that website to find everything we've ever done. Like this podcast, all of our other podcasts, everything we've ever written. It's great. If you like what you're hearing on this show, make sure to tell your friends, give the show a positive rating wherever you're listening to us or watching us. It helps out a lot, makes a huge difference, and it's just a couple of seconds for you there. If you want to get notified every time a new episode is released, you can follow us on social media. All of the social media accounts for Minimap are at MinimapAU on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and also Twitch, where we are live every Monday night, 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. We're about to hit daylight savings soon, so that'll come around to daylight time. For the live recording of the MiniMapCast, we always hang out with the chat before and after and during. It's a good time. As we mentioned at the start of the show, our music for the MiniMapCast is from Shook, and we wanted to say thank you for letting us use the Moog Model D Improv as the music for the MiniMapCast. You can listen to more of Shook's music at shook.bandcamp.com. And finally, MiniMap is completely independent and funded almost entirely out of our own pockets. To help keep the mics and lights on, you can support us by becoming one of our patrons. For only $5 a month, you get 24 hours of early access for all episodes of the MiniMapCast, some extra bonus features like that 2009 E3 press conference watch-along that I just mentioned before. That's us watching along to that and commenting on it at the same time. It's up there, exclusive for Patreon members. That's at Patreon, or rather the website is patreon.com/minimapau. And remember, it's cheaper than a latte with oat milk.
Did you know that Patreon has stopped referring to patrons as patrons?
What do they refer to patrons as?
Like backers or like supporters.
Huh.
And I wonder if they're actually going to rebrand the company to just patron. Yeah.
I don't think they need to do that. I think that would be a bit of an own goal.
Yeah, I mean, look, Patreon have made those before. Like they do that.
They have done that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Just it was just weird though, because I got I logged into our account the other day and I was like, oh yeah, right. I forgot that they've done this. Like that is a change that they made once.
Yeah, that's an odd one.
Yeah.
Well, it's fitting that we started talking about this episode with the music for the show because this week, rather last Friday, first Friday of September, you and I and many other people in Melbourne went to a wee little concert at Hamer Hall, which is an excellent venue in Melbourne's arts precinct. It's really a gorgeous venue, and we saw Orchestra Victoria perform Indie Symphony. What is it? Video Games in Concert, I think was the full name of the show.
Yes.
Which was it was announced a while ago. It's this concert that was like, it's all about indie games and having them performed live on stage by a full orchestra. We saw music from Celeste and Journey. Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, Hollow Knight, Stray Gods. There was another Necro Barista was in there, and there was two songs from Transistor and Hades each.
Yeah.
I think that was it. I think that was the full thing. And man, it was amazing.
It was great. It was so good.
It was one of the best concerts I've been to in a long time, probably since I went to the Symphony of the Goddess Zelda touring concert symphony that they were doing in Australia. The last time they were here was 2017, I think. Jeremy's got a picture up there of all the people on stage being clapped and being cheered on at the end, taking a bow.
Yeah.
It was so good.
yes, it was.
Not only, like, Jeremy, you said we caught up at halftime because we weren't sitting in the same seats. But something you said at the time when we caught up was that you bought the tickets and then completely forgot what was on the program. And so everything was a bit of a surprise to you. And I was in the exact same boat. I was there with Sam. And but something that I looked at the program just then. And so we knew Celeste was going to be there. We knew they were going to do the music from Journey.
Yeah.
But what we didn't know was that conducting the music from Journey was the composer of the soundtrack of Journey, Austin Wintory, who walked up on stage and then conducted the music. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was great. Like you got to intro it a little bit and the MC, I'm not sure who it was, but I
can't remember his name. Yeah, I might look it up.
Introduced him, and as it was like BAFTA award winner. I think was how he described it, and then like him being able to conduct the Journey soundtrack, which was just so cool.
It was really special.
Yeah. And then of course
join
the Stray
Mina
Gods.
Shamali,
There you go.
host of ABC's game show.
Yes. Yeah, it was just a fucking banger of a night. like really.
It was.
There was just tons of really wonderful music, and the orchestra was like incredible, and the vocalists were great, and it was just a really good time.
Yeah. Shout out to the person who captured some of the gameplay for the clips as well, because like there was a 30-minute Hollow Knight suite, and like they only got hit on the final boss.
Yeah. Well, like
in Hollow Knight.
some of it was looped, like some of it was looping gameplay. Not all of it. But
even the like Mantis Lord's boss fight and the Hornet fight, like they totally didn't get hit.
100%. Yeah. It was really good. I hope they continue to do stuff like that. I
would happily go along to another one of those. Or another games concert done with Orchestra Victoria. Was the main orchestra was doing the gig.
It's also funny because like when we caught up with some friends after, and we were making jokes about how like this was great because my ADHD brain allowed me to focus on the screen while the music was playing. And then every now and again I had to remind myself to actually look at the orchestra because they were playing the music in front of me and I wasn't hearing, that was the special bit. Yeah. But what was funny as well is that like there was a lot of people there that were like, some like this is going to sound maybe meaner than what I want it to be, but like some people don't go out much. And
you're right, that does sound mean.
Yeah, and what I mean is like there's a lot of people there that sure did go to like an orchestra, a symphony in Hamer Hall of all places, which is one of Melbourne's most famous music venues. When you look at the silhouette of Melbourne, the spire, which is above Hamer Hall, is there everywhere.
I thought that was above the other hall, the Arts Centre one, the one where they do all the theatre.
I think it's over both of them. Like it's quite wide. Like maybe it's not, but it's very, very close.
Still, it's the arts precinct.
Yeah. Sure was a lot of people there just in a pair of jeans and a hoodie, huh? Sure was a lot of people who really didn't consider dressing up for what is maybe an event that you perhaps should dress up for, as opposed to just wearing like, a game tee, some grubby jeans and a hoodie. Like, come on now. I'm not saying you need to wear a suit, but like, wear a nice top.
Yeah.
Get some nice clean pants on or something.
I can't say I paid that much attention to what everyone else is wearing.
Could not. It happens every time there's a video games thing.
Oh yeah, no, it's how that works. Yeah.
I'm being pointed in a way that I will also be pointed at executives wearing blazers over a game tee at an E3. Like, all right, like you're trying to relate. Like, give me a break.
Yeah, totally.
You can wear a suit, like it's fine.
Yeah, it would be more natural.
Yeah, normal people wear suits as well. Like people can just wear a suit.
There was a moment that kind of clicked for me with the show. We went back to the second half. Turns out the first and second halves were delineated by international versus national or soundtracks / games. So, or the second half was full of Aussie games and their Aussie soundtracks. Tracks. Soundtracked.
Yeah.
And they did a whole bunch of music from Stray Gods at the start of the second half, which was interesting because that was music that was composed by Austin Wintory, also composed by 2/3 of Tripod. I can't remember the specific names of the people whichever. Oh, here we go. Simon Hall, Stephen Gates.
I googled Tripod, and let me tell you, Kerry, it wasn't the band that first came up.
But they'd all been around. They had all come up and been on stage in the first half. And they came back for the second. It was like, oh, you were all involved in making the soundtrack for this game that just came out.
Yeah.
And you're doing a concert because you've all put this time together, and you may as well have. I bet this was part of like a grant to be like, oh, and we've got these musicians together, and it turns out Orchestra Victoria recorded the music for Stray Gods. So like it all came together. It all made sense. It was like, this is why this has happened, because all of these people have already come together. They may as well have put together a concert.
Yes.
But it was great. I thought it was a really good way. Yeah. Basically, every game that was shown there, except maybe Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. No offense. But every game that was shown there, I left thinking, I think I will. That is on the next to play list. That is going on the queue.
Right.
Like I am getting to. I was playing Celeste last night, and it was fantastic. Well, no, it was actually bloody difficult, but it was fantastic. And
did you 100% Celeste?
No, I didn't. I never. I played it through the whole way, and then I left it. And then I went to go back to the DLC, but to start the DLC, you have to have done a lot of the side content already and gotten a lot of those crystal hearts by either doing the B-sides or finding them in the levels.
Mm-hmm.
And I only had like 4 of them. You needed like 8.
Right.
Because I hadn't played the game in ages, all of a sudden they were asking me to do the optional, difficult side content. And I just bounced off. So
it's just like riding a bike.
So last night I restarted it recently, actually, and I went back to that save, and I was like, well, I can't remember why I stopped playing like 2 weeks ago when I was doing this, and oh, that's right, I was halfway through a B-side of the second level, and it was fucking hard.
Yeah, right.
So I said to say, I was like, I think I'm just going to go through the main game and then come back for the B-sides and just do whatever I need to get to the DLC. I think 100%ing it is probably beyond me.
Right, okay.
Unless I have a full written guide, because they've got so many like tiny secrets in that game.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything I came away from, like all of the pieces of music I came away thinking, like Transistor, a game I picked up and played for less than an hour, like 9 years ago. I'm sitting here thinking, I really want to play that because the music was amazing.
I don't love Transistor. I wish I did, but I didn't like.
I don't know many people who do love it, but I want to get to those parts with the music now.
Yeah. Like it's a super giant game. Like you could do worse.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, like the least well regarded super giant game is still a good indie game.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were looking we were doing the start of the show, and I was saying to Jeremy, I really wish that they'd recorded it. I really want to listen to that whole concert, just that exact same concert over again.
Yeah,
and
right.
And you said, oh, they may have, and I looked, and they linked to on Spotify. They had the Indie Symphony like logo on the front. And I was like, oh, it looks like it's already up. And I looked, and I'm trying to verify what it is, and I hit play, and it's just a playlist. But it's just a playlist of all the songs they were going to play that does already exist.
Gotcha.
But yeah, the Hollow Knight suite at the end was awesome for 30 minutes. That was, as for a game that I played like 40 hours of and then didn't touch for 5 years, that was great. A great way to like revisit those moments.
Mm-hmm.
And the orchestra was killer. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, like it was just a really great night, and like Alex in the chat has sort of said a thing that I hadn't really considered, but I did more today when I started to actually look at my calendar. That it felt kind of like a pre-Melbourne International Games Week event. Because
it did, yeah. I mean, they Mina even mentioned it on the stage. It was like, Orchestra Victoria will be around. I'm very curious to hear what that will be, but probably whatever it is, unless it's like the music from Counter-Strike, I'll be in.
Yeah, like I think like what I have an idea of what that might be, but I might tell you off pod.
Secrets. I will find out. I mean, that particular week is in a month. Like we'll be there soon. So.
That particular week is starts in less than 3 weeks.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, because
I'm thinking PAX. PAX is always at the end.
Well, yeah, PAX is on the 8th.
Part of it.
So still just under a month, but
yeah. So that's Indie Symphony. I don't know that it'll happen again. It was one night. But if it does happen again,
it'll probably happen again.
Or if there's something, if you're at Melbourne International Games Week and you see whatever it is that thing is that Orchestra Victoria were kind of teasing at the end there that they're doing, I would highly consider going to it because it was just a blast.
Yeah. Yes. I think so too.
Taking a hard right turn. You mentioned, Jeremy, that we caught up with some friends afterwards. We went and got a drink. And what did we spend the most of our time talking about, Jeremy, after that show, when we were sitting down, when we were having a drink?
I don't remember. I was very drunk.
We were talking. Oh yeah, because you had pre-drinks.
Yeah, I've been drinking since 4:00 that day, or 3:00 or whatever. 3:00.
We spoke about Starfield.
Yes,
Jeremy,
we did.
You've played a decent amount of Starfield. I spoke about my feelings on the game last week. I think it's mostly positive. I think it won't be for everyone, but you've played it now. What do you think?
I think,
and this is a bit of a trick question because I have spoken to you numerous times this week, and I know what you think. But tell the audience.
I think that this game is a step backwards for Bethesda.
Step backwards from Fallout 4, a game you
I don't like.
Famously really loved.
Yeah, and look, I don't hate Fallout 4 as I think this game is terrible, blah blah blah, and I don't think that Starfield is terrible. It's
just one terrible.
Yeah, I don't think Starfield is terrible. I just don't think it's good. For my money, I think that this is not a very good game. So the way I treat Bethesda games is, I think an open and positive way to treat Bethesda games is someone who often wants more from a video game than perhaps a studio like Bethesda will be able to give me. And I don't mean that as as a slight, but often what I want from RPGs is
in terms of your taste.
Yeah. I want something
that they will offer you.
I want something that's quite deep. I want something that I can do a lot of role playing in. I want something that I can do a lot of different things, and I can sort of fall into this world in a big way. I love falling into worlds and feeling immersed in the world.
So you would choose Disco Elysium or
well,
even Red Dead over a Skyrim game.
More often than not, yes. But the way I treat Bethesda Studios games is I know that I'm not going to get that from them directly. So what I do is I like to basically just spend time in them, and I will usually hit around the 15 to 20 hour mark of it, and then before I know it, I've actually played that game for the last time, and that's totally fine.
Yes. I always hit that point in a Bethesda game of I'm still having fun. I never went back.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's so fine. That's not I've been put off by this. That's not that's not anything. It's okay, I've had my time and I've moved on to something else, and off I go. I didn't get anywhere near that in Starfield. And I went into that knowing that I was probably going to hit about 15, 20 hours and then sort of just kind of fall off. I did not get that with Starfield.
You didn't want to take it that far.
No, I got quite bored and frustrated in the world of Starfield. Very quickly. Very, very quickly. I did the opening, as everyone who plays that game does, where you're in a mining little area, and then you touch a rock and you get a 2001 Space Odyssey sequence, as everyone says. And then you wake up and you choose your character.
Mm-hmm.
I spent about an hour designing a character. I was in the character creator for a little while.
And when you say that, do you just mean physically with their face and their shape and body and whatever, or are you also talking about background and history? Your character.
So both, because I was attempting to recreate
That's right.
a person. I was attempting to recreate Kurt Russell's character from Big Trouble in Little China. Big Trouble in Little China, an 80s movie with Kurt Russell and a bunch of other Kim Cattrall's in it. He plays a guy named Jack Burton, who is he's basically a trucker, and he gets wrapped up in this whole mystical, magical story that happens in Little China.
How amazing is it that you could just type in Big Trouble and and that's like that's it.
Yeah. That movie is awesome because Kurt Russell's character Jack is like he's kind of an idiot. Like not like he's not particularly he's a dumb guy. He's a really dumb guy. He's happy to be there. He's not even the hero really of the story. The story knows that. He doesn't even particularly think himself a major hero. He's just kind of there, just kind of being a guy in this story, and it's really funny. There's this wonderful sequence where a bunch of them are in an elevator and they're heading towards what is about to be like quite a big fight. And there's about 6 or 7 like dudes in this elevator, and Jack's there with his he's got his like little mini machine gun, and he's like, I kind of feel like really good right now. And they're all kind of like smiling and nodding. He's like, I kind of feel invincible. Like, what about you? And they're all like, yeah, like we all feel like really good right now. Like, yeah, like we've totally got this.
That's so funny.
It's a fantastic movie. It's so funny. And so what I did is I went straight over to where the character traits are and the backstory stuff. And I'm like, well, let me look through these and see what kind of vibe I want to get. And I saw like one of them was like a long haul trucker kind of character. Not trucks because they're ships, but yeah, a hauler. And I was like, oh, well, I'll do that. And then I'll spend my time making Kurt Russell. And I tried for a very long time to make Kurt Russell's face, and I just couldn't quite crack it because Kurt Russell's got a very specific face. He's got a big mouth and a big jaw. And the limits of the character creator didn't actually allow me to create his face.
You found the limits.
Well, I think that this is maybe not quite as robust as a lot of their previous character creators, but I think that overall the faces will not look as hideous as some of them did in the past. So they've sacrificed a little bit of character for a bit more like actually no one looks like terrible. Which is fine.
That's a good goal.
Yeah, like it's fine. Like you can do that. But then I accidentally created Jeff Bridges after getting it wrong a few times, and so I just made it Jeff Bridges from Tron. Kevin Flynn is his name.
Right. This is how you spent an hour. Right.
Yeah, and so I had a baseline of mostly Jeff Bridges, and I tweaked it, gave him the Tron legacy beard, and then gave him the background Cyber Runner, because I was like, well, if fucking any of these is going to be Tron, Cyber Runner is going to be Tron.
Mm-hmm.
So then you wake up from the mining facility from that thing happening, and then one of the characters is like, like you're a Cyber Runner, huh? What the hell are you doing here? Anyway, here's your mining gun, and let's just totally not bother with any of your backstory stuff, literally ever. And I was kind of like, oh, that kind of sucks. Like I put a little bit of thought into it. Like I know that I'm sure that will play into something at some point.
Yeah, like once every 5 hours there will be one time where you can pick
but
that as an option.
Yeah, but I'm kind of sitting here going like, okay, I don't really know the point of this backstory stuff if the immediate reaction was, well, we have you in this mold already. Let's not actually do any of the role-playing stuff right now. Let's just get you in this moment. And then the moment is fine. You shoot some pirates, and then you get given a ship very abruptly by someone.
So abruptly.
And then here's a robot.
They just give you the keys.
Yeah. Which, I understand they want you in the world, but I actually think that maybe you should have just already been in the world with a ship
maybe they
that you own. Like,
maybe you should have been on a leash for a bit longer.
Maybe, but I don't know why they had to give you the ship. Couldn't you just already own a ship?
No, because then why would you be mining?
Why was I mining?
So that you touch the thing.
What if I was already in a ship and then I had to go save the miners or something? What if I was on a job doing a thing that my backstory had determined, and then I got a distress signal or something, or I got kidnapped by pirates and brought into a mine, or I'm not it very quickly. I'm already hitting like a little bit of friction.
Yes,
in this game, and so then you meet the collective of rude scientists, and the collective of rude scientists and unlikable characters. And they tell you about this high and mighty.
Oh, that young kid's not that rude.
Yeah, like they didn't like none of them like felt like that they liked each other. Like they all hated it being there. And they weren't like a ragtag group of people who have like, you know, their own personal frictions. They were all just kind of mean. And so I left there pretty quickly, and then suddenly I had a follower, and I went, okay, well, here we go.
Oh, you mean an adoring fan?
No. The companion that you get from the collective of rude scientists. And so I started to like, you know, look around and see if I could start, you know, making up my own nonsense and trying to find some fun, interesting things to do. And I went to like a president's office, and no one there had literally anything to do with me at all. None of them wanted to speak to me. They all gave me the same, like, I'm busy, like, go away sort of thing. And then I went somewhere else, and I went to Earth because they were like, hey, you got to go to the Sol system. So I went to the Sol system. I visited Earth and saw that it's all fucked up. So I left. Which I think, you know, like if you want to tell that story, that's fine. But then I went into a space station that was floating like somewhere in the solar system. There was a space station that was there.
It's above. There's one above. There's one on the moon.
This was an in-space space station.
Yeah, there's a space station orbiting the moon.
Right. Okay. I went in there because I was like, is that meant to be the ISS? I'm not sure, but like I could land, so I flew over there. And I was like, okay, well, what's going on here? And there was two factions that were fighting each other. And I went, oh, okay, well, this is interesting. I wonder what they're fighting about. And so I sort of got myself in some trouble and got in the middle of it, as one does in games like this.
Big Trouble in Little Space Station.
Yeah, Big Trouble Little Space Station. And I took out everybody on the ship and went, okay, cool, let's find out what everyone's doing up here. Like, why were we fighting? Why? Because like the characters are like, hey, like, why is this faction on the space station?
Yep.
There was no answer. There was no reason. There was no reason why they're up there.
I will say to that point, I found a similar. I said last week I found a zero-G casino, right?
Yeah.
And I thought that was the same thing. I got in there and like shot everyone, and there was no one left. And then I'm like, oh, there's no like jackpot for me to like open or whatever. That sucks. There is. I just couldn't find it. It was like not at all obvious and actually quite hidden, and in a way that is like bad.
Right, but like I wasn't like. Sorry.
Well, I just mean to say like I wouldn't be surprised if maybe there was like a note or like something on their body, or like there was like one room that was meant to be like the final room that had like one scrap on a desk or something that you didn't find that maybe explained it. But like I'm used to their games being a little bit more obvious with their environmental storytelling with what's going on.
Yeah. Like maybe I missed something, but I was pretty thorough. Like I was trying to be very thorough. I know that the game's visual language is a little bit busy at times, and it's very easy to just like gloss over stuff. But like I was very much looking for a reason to be here, and I found none. And I went, well, I guess I might just not bother going to another space station because this seemed like a gigantic waste of time and ammunition.
Damn. I'm sad that was your conclusion. Oh, I understand why you made it.
And
I found a space station. Well, it wasn't a space station. It was I jumped into a system today, and there was an armored cruiser, like an armored cruiser that was used to transport money from place to place. And it was being attacked by pirates. I took out the pirates, but they're on board as well. And the thing that was cool was that the ship's artificial gravity was constantly cycling on and off every like 20, 30 seconds. And it completely changed the combat I was in, and that allowed you to find secrets and stuff like that. So there are like cool things that you can find out there. But
like, I think that the thing is that like, this didn't feel like someone had put this together. This had felt like a thing that had happened semi-organically, or algorithmically, and it but in like a bad way, not in like a hey, like that's cool that like random stuff can happen all the time. In like a man, there's just gonna be shit happening everywhere, huh? Like sort of way where like there was like I was. There was a very interesting thread that I read today on Twitter, which I'll bring up at the end of this, because I just want to round up sort of where I went from there, which is I went to Mars, because you got to go there next, and I tried my fucking darndest to land in the planet space station 3 or 4 times and fucked that up and landed next to it because the UI is dreadful when doing anything that's planet related. And then when I had to try and do that, I had to then take off into space from my cockpit as opposed to just fast traveling from the cockpit or fast traveling from where you usually fast travel from,
which is anywhere.
And every time you take off from the cockpit of the space station, the UI loads up the entire like flying UI, and then you get a loading screen, and then you're just in space. And that leads me to believe that at some point, perhaps the design goal of this game was that you could be able to take off, and it just didn't get there. And perhaps this is a remnant of that. I don't know for sure, but it sure feels like that because the rest of it sure doesn't feel great. And anyway, I land on Mars and I'm there, and someone immediately is like, hey, like, you want to go mining for me? And immediately I'm like, ugh, all right. And I looked at my quest log and it's full of shit already. And I went, oh, Jesus, fuck, who are all these names? I don't want to do any of this stuff. And so he's like, hey, well, go get me some mining, or you know how to mine. And I'm sitting here going like, this isn't my character at all. But I guess that's what I'm going to do. So
this is definitely the Bethesda game where I've said no to the most. I've said no to more people than ever before.
There's a lot of
like, I'm not interested in doing that. Bye.
Yeah, right. Like there's so much of this game asking me to do some of the most boring things I could possibly imagine. I don't know why they made an executive decision to not remove the boring from this game. I think that was a really bold choice for them to say, we're going to include the boring in Starfield.
Well, they put it in.
Yeah, I don't know why they did that. That was like, they could have not done that and it would have been a better game. But yeah, I get there and he's like, go get me mining stuff. And apparently I already had mining. I had mined ore in my pocket, and I'm like, well, here you go. And what I thought was funny is he goes, I don't know why you had that in your pocket, but I'm not going to ask any questions. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, go take it to this refinery like upstairs. And I again look at my quest marker because I didn't equip the quest. I look at the quest log, sorry, because I didn't equip that quest correctly, and I saw even more things pop up in there as people adjacent to me had more conversations, which apparently...
So that had, like, in the activities thing, how you open up that, like, miscellaneous tab at the bottom.
Yeah, and like some of these quest markers, some of these quests are like, look at your ship inventory. I'm like, this isn't a quest. like that's a tutorial, and you can teach me a tutorial, but like that's not a thing. And then I was like, well, I'm going to get away from this algorithmically generated content, and let me get back to some of like the actual story, or like
just going to open the door. Keep going.
Okay. I'm going to get away from like some of this algorithmically generated content, and I'm going to start moving into the more authored, written content by people. And then I realized that I was actually doing that. And the content that I was doing was not generated, was actual stories.
So you keep saying that.
Yes.
And I think I've heard you say, so rather you've said this to me during the week, and I think I'm officially here to call bullshit
on
that being like a main story thing or non-generated content, like actually curated, authored content. Well, I don't think that was. That sounds exactly like all of the generated content I've seen.
Well, that one was a very early written. That's just a quest. That's not like it's not like main quest line stuff, but it is.
Did the character have a name?
I think so. I don't remember what it was, but I think it was.
Because that that whole like you land somewhere on a planet and then you go to like an outpost and you talk to the person there and they're like, oh, hey, can you like do this thing for me? Like that is what every outpost is like. And they all have a quest that's like that for you. And they're all garbage. And it sounds a lot like that. And those are the generated quests.
Okay. Well,
a lot of the authored side content have named characters that have interesting problems that require more than just go here and break a rock.
Okay, because when I went back to do then just the main story quest, the quality of writing that I was experiencing in that was like identical to what that is why I assumed that this was not a generated quest but was an authored quest, because the writing was on par with the main story, and I went, oh, this is just all terrible. This is like some of the worst boring writing I've seen from this studio before.
And I mean, like, I could come in here and say, oh, bullshit or whatever, but like that it is leaving you with that impression is not good. It is bad. It is bad that you are getting to a point of thinking, is it all like this? I don't want to be involved if it is.
I also think it's just bad to have that content. Like, I don't think that content is actually worth anything. That content is...
The only thing it's worth is filling out the planets, right? Because they want to offer you all of these places to go. And they don't want them to literally be like moons where no one has ever been, even though that's kind of actually
that's what they are.
That is exactly what they are, except every planet you land on has, it either has other people visiting it. I landed on a planet today and 3 other ships flew down from space in my nearby 500 meters. It's like, what are you all doing here? Fuck off. Like, this planet's huge. What are you doing here? And there's also a refinery over there and a trading outpost there and a science outpost and a bandit camp. And it's like, wait, this is just one moon. Why are you all here?
It feels
you're always within a kilometer of me.
It feels like the most incorrectly decided sized universe. Like galaxy, like space universe. Like everything, the scale of almost every single aspect feels completely incorrect. Like, the cities themselves are maybe the most like fine thing. Like they're fine. They're just cities.
And you know, they give you a bit of that like Diamond City vibe. Like Aquila City's kind of big and rambly. Like it kind of goes on for a while.
Yeah, and there's different floors and all that stuff, and like and that's fine. But then like space feels skippable. Like outer space feels entirely optional.
But also in a way of like you can try to engage with it, but there's not that much more to engage with it.
Yeah, like they can't put too much resources in this optional content because that's how, you know, budgets and math works is how that feels. And then the generated locations on planets feel like there's a thing exactly a 5-minute walk from everything, no more, no less. Everything is like, it feels like everything's on a grid, right? And every chunk of land has got exactly one point of interest directly in the center of it. And then getting told to do things feels either ridiculously tedious or that is so fucking far away. There is nothing that feels exactly right to go and do at any point in my entire 6 or 7 hours of playing that game. There was at no point where I was like, yeah, that's actually going to be like a little adventure for me to do. There was no running from, there's no running from, what's the first town in Skyrim called?
Helgen.
Yeah. There's no running from Helgen to Whiterun.
Yeah, there's no like the bombs are dropping, get in the vault.
Yes, yeah. There's no
or like growing up in the vault with Liam Neeson as your dad,
or even just making it to Megaton, right? Like making it to Megaton is it's like for where you are in that game. That's like a bit of a journey.
It is, and you make it there yourself.
Yeah.
You don't make it to New Atlantis yourself. You are railroaded there, and then once you're there, they let you go in it, and it's not that fun to be in.
Yeah, there was I don't know what the opposite of vibes are, but the first city you go to has the opposite.
Vibance.
Yeah, it is the opposite of vibes. It is the antithesis of vibes. It was like sterile.
Yeah, and also all the quests are sterile.
Yes.
Except that there was that one where I had to like go take someone's cursed boots and put them in a box on an off-world space station.
Yeah, totally.
That was funny, but like, you know, that was after like 3 hours of exploring. I found that quest. Yeah, for me, I find the most fun in like I enjoy the combat, and I enjoy looting stuff. I like the space combat. I like spaceship modification.
Mm-hmm.
Although I'll touch on that in a sec with something else I just remembered. But for me, it became bouncing from the larger, more altered content became the best part of the game. Even the side quests, like rocking up into a new system and getting hit with the distress call, going down, and it becomes this whole like 2-hour thing. And that was great. I felt invested. They gave you the characters and their context and their background. They're meant to be at odds, but they're both, you know, in the thick of it. And like it was a whole thing. Like that was really good. So like there is plenty to enjoy, but it can be buried. And it's like I said last week, the game gives you plenty of opportunity to play it in a way that might be wrong for you.
Like I think and maybe my expectations were too high in terms of, you know, like as one does when you're a big studio with a lot of loved history. Like you talk mad game, like I get that, but I also don't know why this game took so long, and this is it. Like.
A scathing review.
Like, what were they like? What took so long, and this is what we get? Because so much of this is what we already had. There is a tremendous, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't reuse stuff. I'm not saying that like, oh my god, it's the same animations as Fallout. I'm not like those people are morons. What I'm saying is like they went all the way back to the drawing board on this. It's a new IP. It's an explicit new thing from Bethesda Game Studios, and what we got was
space Fallout.
Well, but like it's not even space Fallout, because space Fallout has a bunch of time in the middle of cities where I'm like, you know, having my own adventures, you know, with like a dramatic. This is algorithm Fallout, because all the planets they're not authored. Like they've got authored chunks, but it's like the worst part of the Bethesda RPGs. Like, what if we made a game based on that?
It's a good point, because what you touch on there is that not only it's not like the best parts of Skyrim and Fallout were finding the landmarks in each of the locations. It was also how they stitched them together and put them in context in the world.
Yeah.
And being able to leave a cave, or like you go into a facility and you exit out the back entrance and find yourself like on the other side of this mountain, and in the distance there's a fuel station, and you go there, and well, I don't know which game I'm talking about now. Who knows?
But that's all of them, right? It's like, you know, like going in one way and coming out another is like an exciting adventure way to allow you to move through a location and then realize you've also made progress. Like that is,
yeah, and it gives you that Breath of the Wild like constant reward thing over the hill, like thing to go to.
We learned
like
this.
They did it before Breath of the Wild, you know.
We learned this in a little video game called Super Mario Brothers, when the very first time you go down a warp pipe and then you come out the other side, you've made progress while also doing a different new thing. Like that is like as old as video games. And
to be fair, they do have some facilities that are like that, where you do that. The problem is it's on a planet where you come out the other side and it's surrounded by more generated landmarks.
Land.
Yeah.
It's just land. They've made the most amount of land.
Landfield.
Landfield.
Starland.
There's the name of the episode. It's Bethesda Game Studios Landfield.
Landfield. Finally, just changed last week's episode now. Yeah. Finally got a good one.
like, and like the other conversation that we have, which I think is worth bringing up, is that like the introduction to this game is really dull. And like I was comparing it to to a bunch of the more recent games from Bethesda Game Studio. So like the dragon attack in Skyrim, the bomb going off in Fallout 4, the bomb going off in Fallout 3. All three of those things happen, like introductions to those video games, are all really exciting. Having to run away from a dragon and quickly make a split decision based on just vibes, which of these two people you want to run away from. You go to
my god, there's fire. Oh my god, I gotta run. Oh my god.
Yeah, you just run, and then you get to the first town, and then you'll make your way to right run. You do an entire like segment. You then go up the tower, learn how to shout, come down, kill a dragon, and then the entire game is ready for you, right? And like that's like a good 6 hours.
If you didn't go off on your own path already by that point.
Totally. Like and you probably will when you're playing that game for the first time, but
there's not so much that you get like lost in the source, you know, like you're still getting Skyrim if you do that.
Exactly. Fallout 3, you have the entire prologue with Liam Neeson, your father, and it's all quite good and it's acted really well, and then there's this thing that happens and he leaves, and then you getting attacked, and you got to, you know, fight the overseer of the vault that you're in. Then you leave, you go to Megaton, and you're on this wild goose chase trying to find your dad. And all that is really thrilling as well. That's the story I hope they adapt for the Fallout show. Fallout 4, even maybe this is less interesting than the ones that we've just had, but there's at least a story about, you know, like your child is taken and your spouse is murdered, and then you go back to the town that you were just at personally. Like
getting to be there before the bomb and then going there after, like that's a really cool conceit.
Totally.
And like not done in the Fallout franchise that we're most familiar with, at least. I don't know if they did in 1 and 2, but like that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's a good way to start a story, and then you meet the robot and that stuff, and then you go and you meet Preston.
And even how like you're the only one who actually knows what baseball is, because you're the only one who was actually alive then.
Totally.
And they're talking about what baseball is, and they think it's about killing people on the field, and it's like not.
And like you meet the Minutemen, and then you fight a Deathclaw and all that stuff, and it's exciting. It's at the very, very least. Yeah, I remember all of that. I could barely remember the beginning of Starfield, and I played it like less than a week ago. It is so dull and dry, and there are no characters really aside from the guy that gives you his ship.
Yeah, and then you leave him behind.
I was even hoping that the robot was going to be a TARS. Right, I was hoping he was going to be a C-3PO-esque kind of thing that's going to be your gateway into this world. He's going to tell you the shit that's obvious to everybody that lives there, but you don't, and so you get that story through him in a way. And
I really don't like the robots in this game.
They're fucking boring as hell.
They're so boring. They have very little to say because they're like, oh, I don't have emotions. And they take so long to say anything. It got to the point where I was like, I just actually can't be bothered trying to talk to you.
Do you remember the robots in New Vegas? The ones that just wheel around and
with the wheel
and the screen. Like there's some character there.
They were just voiced for the most part.
Well, yeah, but they were voiced like they were like robot generating like Saturday morning serials.
Yes, but it also meant that they then spoke faster.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not going to go back to this game.
Yeah, it's a shame it didn't hit, but it's not like you don't have plenty of things to play this year.
And part of me is bummed because I am bummed because I really wanted to. I was excited for this. We've spoken about this and my excitement for this game. I was ready for another one from that team. I was ready for another big space game. I love space game. I love space game.
Space game good.
Space game great. This one barely a space game. Man.
Yeah. I'm still liking my time with it, but I hit this moment where I caught up a bit with since I got COVID, I've been behind on Kind of Funny's content. And so I caught up to their Starfield stuff. And Greg Miller there, he's talking a lot about how he's on his like 5th New Game Plus playthrough. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? In a Bethesda game, you're on your 5th New Game Plus playthrough, and also Greg Miller, who's someone who doesn't replay games. It's not his thing. He finishes them and then he moves on. If it's a game he really likes, he'll platinum it, and then he moves on. So it's been this really weird thing, and I've heard multiple people say, you know, it's a new, like, there is a really good reason apparently to go and do that. And you looked it up last week. I still don't want to know what it is. I want to find it myself. But what that has meant is it completely trivializes any investment I've made in this run through, because if I spend another 5-10 hours on my ship, it's all going to go away. If I focus on like going to certain planets because they've got certain resources, so I can build certain things for my outposts to make it big, to make it beautiful, to make it the best, it all goes away when I hit New Game Plus. So why would I bother?
Yeah, the more I think about what that thing is at the end of it, that comes up 3+ playthroughs through. Like I really don't get it. Like I really don't understand. I think it is a contradictory design choice. And I
wonder if it's them trying to address the players who do put in 400,000 hours into a game like this, and give them a way to keep earning skill points and to start over, but not fully start over, but still start over. Like, I think that's good to have in this game, in a game like this, but in the official setting.
No,
but
out of all of the issues from Bethesda Game Studios video games, people don't have enough things to do, or people have not, like, don't have enough avenues to put more time into it.
Yeah.
Has never been a concern that anybody's ever had.
Consider though, Jeremy, this game came out on Game Pass. And if they keep people playing this, they're getting more money per customer if they're using Game Pass to play that game for 8 months, 12 months, 18 months, compared to their one-off $120 purchase.
I think
there is an incentive for them to stick around.
I think that maybe that might be related to it. Which
I don't think it's fully there. Like that's borderline. That's even borderline conspiratorial for me.
Well, I mean, I can see them using the New Game Plus feature as a bullet point on a proof of concept that they hand to, you know, the overlords of Microsoft to say like, hey, we have a reason that people want to stay subscribed to Game Pass for our video game.
Yeah.
I just wish instead of what it is, I just wish that instead of New Game Plus, it's like a good writing was perhaps a thing that maybe that they might want to have considered. Because holy fuck.
Somehow I doubt that New Game Plus took that much away from the writing aspect.
No, I know. I'm being rude. But yeah, I just like I can see maybe especially in the age of some of the more recent games from Bethesda have got a lot more live service elements in them. I hope that does not become a trend with them. I don't think that it will.
I don't know if their games release close together enough for them to develop trends.
I mean,
which is a silly thing to say. Like that's my first blush, and all of their games are so similar that that's clearly false.
But Redfall is Bethesda.
Oh, sure. Sorry, yeah. I meant Bethesda Game Studios.
Sure. Yeah, sorry. I was thinking like the through line of Deathloop, Redfall,
like
Starfield.
You're thinking like Bethesda ZeniMax.
Yeah.
Bethesda Publishing.
Yeah. Bethesda the company, not just the studio.
The studio. Yeah. For me, I'm getting to the point where like, if I don't get to the end and start seeing that stuff soon, I'm close to just deciding to put it down, which I've actually never done with a Bethesda game before. Like deciding that I'm done with it.
Yeah.
Because like all the while I've been playing it, it's been like, I know there are games I enjoy more than this right now. I just am enjoying this and I'm happy to put time into it rather than something else. But as the weeks drag on, I'm getting to a bit of a like, okay, no, I actually need to get back to Armored Core. I need to get back to Zelda. I need to start Baldur's Gate. This isn't it's not enough to keep me for weeks and weeks when I've got all of those things at my door waiting.
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
Like even if I'm not done, like I might have to decide to be. And like that's a different factor, right? I wasn't working in the industry or whatever when Fallout 4 came out, but like it's just I can't justify putting that much time into this game if it's going to take that long to get there and then wipe all my progress.
Yeah.
I've got one final game for what we've been playing, and I won't take. I'll be very brief on this, but
I'm so excited.
Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis has finally released. That's right, the game they announced. I don't know when, not long after Remake came out. Was it a part of that? Like, it was even before that, like Final Fantasy VII Direct they did, right, where they announced Rebirth. I think they just showed it off again there.
Yeah, I think it was announced. It might have been E3.
Yeah. Maybe like the Square Enix E3 where they showed off Avengers.
No. I think it was after that, but I think it was the last E3. It was that weird one.
Yeah, that weird one.
Yeah. Did you hear? Sorry, real quick. Did you hear that E3 2024 is not going to go ahead and they're going to reinvent themselves for 2025?
I think so, yeah. That came out a few weeks ago now, right?
No, this is like yesterday.
Oh, no, I didn't hear anything from yesterday.
Yeah.
Whatever. Whatever, ESA. Dude, you keep limping along there.
Yeah.
But so yeah, Ever Crisis finally came out. It's the phone game of Final Fantasy VII. It brings together and puts all of the Final Fantasy VII games in one place. So like you're meant to be able to play through Dirge of Cerberus, I think. I can't read the font on it, so it's too small. But I'm pretty sure it's Dirge of Cerberus and also Crisis Core and also the main game of Final Fantasy VII. It's all there. You walk around as like little chibi Cloud and Tifa and Barrett doing the main thing. And it was kind of interesting. It starts with this very cinematic entrance of like Cloud fighting Sephiroth just somewhere, just randomly, just like apropos of nothing. And then Cloud gets weak, he can't do it, and then Zack comes out of nowhere, and then he fights Cloud, and he like falls over, and then Sephiroth says something, and then it goes to the start of Final Fantasy VII. You go to the bombing run. It's just like it's really weird. It breaks my brain to see Cloud and Zack in the same place at the same time, using the same sword. I don't know if you know this, Jeremy. Cloud's Buster Sword is Zack's Buster Sword.
Yeah, no, I know this.
They're the same sword. So like the like key art for the game is like them standing back to back with the same sword. I'm like, whoa. And then I think about it. I'm like, wait, that's what's happening in the next game. Whoa. Anyway,
it reminds me of like, did you ever see like photoshopped art of like Ratchet and Clank and Jak and Daxter all in the same image?
No, I didn't. But you
know what I mean, right?
I know enough about what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be like, Master Chief in the same image as like Marcus Phoenix from Gears of War. Like,
yeah. Like, or like with Samus.
Yes. Yeah. Like this is kind of what this game gives me the same vibes of.
Yeah, I mean, let's just say it now. All Final Fantasy content is basically just professional Final Fantasy VII like fan content.
Yeah.
At this point. So you do that first run, and then it's an explosion of gacha game mobile bullshit. Just an absolute so much crap. Like you do that bombing mission, and then you get to the main menu, and it's like new drop and new outfit and like notices and like new rewards, daily missions, login rewards, and like I haven't even said everything that happened at I couldn't get to the menu for like 5 minutes. They're like, you've got a free draw, pull a draw, and you do it, and Cloud does this. The like loot box opening animation for this is Cloud doing a really cool like slash animation against like an iron golem in an arena.
Hell yeah.
And like that's kind of cool, but it also takes like 30 seconds. And God help me if I didn't put another hour into it today as well. I don't know about this game, honestly. Like going through the main content, like once I got through all the bullshit, and got back to doing missions, like I did all those pulls and they gave me like gold weapons for Cloud, and then I'm like upgrading them for some reason because I don't know if I should be doing that or holding onto my resources, but I spend it. And there's another pull, and there's more swords, and I start breaking down into the other edit. I'm like, oh my God, okay, just get me back to the missions. Fucking hell. I go back to the mission. There's like, they skip a lot of the in-between section of like between the reactor and then meeting Aerith. They skip all of that. There's none of the whispers stuff. So you're getting the main story of the main Final Fantasy VII game. But really fast. Like you don't even see Cloud jump on the train to go and then meet up with Barrett and the others in the train car, go to Sector 7 slums, and then walk to 7th Heaven. It goes from Cloud fighting people on the street at the top of Sector 7, and then end mission, start mission, and he's in 7th Heaven. He's in the bar. So right. they just cut. They're just so fast into it.
Yeah.
Like within 30 minutes, you'll have defeated the Airbuster and met Aerith, you know?
Well, you gotta, there's a lot of game to get through.
Yeah, I know. But like the whole point of the game is it's like this like condensed like conglomeration kind of thing. And after that point, they introduce like, oh, here you can do like weapon, like they just call it like weapon upgrade runs, which is just like generated random battles for you to get resources from.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay. And then there's a beach event where you can unlock like
beach
Tifa
outfits
in a bikini with
shirtless Zack,
but with a wet shirt as well. Like they went like double ogle.
Shirtless Zack.
Shirtless Zack, which is good fun, and also a callback to Crisis Core. And it's just like
there's also there's a Red 13 one as well.
Yeah, there is. Or he's in like a shirt. Like yeah. It's funny, but like, man, it's a lot.
Yeah,
it's so much. It's so much. And the bit that was the most interesting to me was the like condensed way to experience Crisis Core story or the Dirge of Cerberus story, and like
it's just a lie. It's just not true at all.
It is just a lie because the combat is not that interesting. The music isn't as good as Remake. The gameplay segments in between the combat are really, really brief and truncated. And there's just too much bullshit on the top layer. I might play it a couple more times, but I think that'll probably be it for me, which is a shame. We've been looking forward to it for a while.
Are you looking forward to seeing young Sephiroth?
Yeah. I saw his illustration in the loading screen once.
Oh, you should see the launch trailer. Looks cool.
I did see that,
right.
But like I didn't internalize it. That's the other thing. Anything that's voiced, which isn't much, but it's all in Japanese, which is like that's not necessarily a knock. I just know it doesn't do much for me.
Right.
I would prefer to hear it in English. And yeah, like the thing that I'm most struck by is they clearly saw Final Fantasy VII Remake and they were like, let's use these assets. And so like literally when you start the Final Fantasy VII campaign or whatever, it's just the opening from 7 Remake. It's literally the same. It's just the same like video file, even of like Cloud getting off the train, and then it's like a hard cut to Chibi, and it's like okay. And also all the battle sequences that it's the assets for Cloud, like all of their like so many of their weapons and their gear, like Tifa's gloves, their weapons that you already got in 7 Remake, like Aerith's mithril rod or Tifa's like purple rain gloves, like they're identical. They're the same assets. And like, fair enough, do that. But also the battles you could just set to auto battle and fast forward. So like,
right, okay.
so like, even the bit that might be the most engaging, you could just turn into a factory, like a resource generation factory. So yeah. I can't in good conscience recommend this to anyone unless you like gacha games.
There's a tweet here which is part of a translation from a Game Watch logo article rather interview with Nomura, where it says Nomura said the initial plan for Ever Crisis was to only include the original Final Fantasy VII, but he thought it would be more interesting to be able to play the entire series from the beginning. The quote is, originally the initial process for Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis was to only include the original Final Fantasy VII. When the project came to me, and that was the plan, but I thought it would end the story of Final Fantasy VII. There would be no future expansions or surprises. So I thought wouldn't it be more interesting to be able to play the entire series from the beginning? And it was decided based on my, quote, reckless behavior.
Offhanded comment.
Uh,
Completely blew out the scope of the game. They're like, fuck, we got to put 3 games in here now.
Personally, one of the reasons was also my strong desire to recover before Crisis, Final Fantasy VII, which currently has no environment to be played.
Before Crisis, what is that?
It's the DS one, wasn't it? Or was it a different mobile one? It's one of the ones included. It's Before Crisis is in Ever Crisis.
I thought that was just Dirge of Cerberus.
No. Dirge of Cerberus was a PSP one.
Oh, maybe that's the third one then. Oh, fucking hell.
Yeah, because there was... Because that was the weird thing, because they kind of went like... Because they went...
They said there's going to be 5 games in this in the reveal trailer, didn't they?
Wasn't Advent Children included in that?
Yeah. Like 5 properties.
Yeah, because
there's only 3 right now.
The weird thing about Final Fantasy VII is it goes Final Fantasy VII, Advent Children, Before Crisis, Crisis Core, Dirge of Cerberus, Ever Crisis.
Right. And they're all different versions of prequels and sequels.
Yeah, but they also go A, B, C, D, E. is the other thing that's weird. Is Advent, Before Crisis, Dirge, Ever.
Oh, fuck off.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying.
Fuck off. I hate that. I hate that so much.
Did you not know this?
No, I didn't know this. That's some Del Toro Quest bullshit. Fucking hell. Like, it's cute, but like, I'm not 7 years old.
I love Nomura so much. With my whole heart. He's so fucking funny. I'm trying to think if there's anything more. I don't think there was anything more.
Well, not all of those are in the game yet.
No.
Which is fascinating. And like, in terms of playable characters...
And Rebirth was the one that blew everything out. Like, Rebirth was the one that...
Remake.
Well, no, because Remake is just, I guess, but like, yeah. But I suppose...
Yeah, now they're doing like triple R, probably.
Yeah, it'll be Remake, Rebirth, and...
Revenge or...
Reawaken. Yeah.
I don't have any funny R names, so I'm just going to leave it there.
Really good.
Anyway, like I said, I can't really recommend it to anyone unless you like gacha games or you really like Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to throw it to a break, and when we come back, we've got a topic of the show for you. It's a Game of the Year ranking for 2013. We're going to go through the best games of that year that we played. Stick around, we'll be right back. Welcome back to the MiniMapCast. We've been talking about all kinds of crap. We're talking about Frostpunk. We're talking about I had a little bit of cake.
It's very funny every time you bring in the break and you talk about the stuff that anybody who is listening to this episode after the fact will not be able to hear.
Well, yeah, but it's like oh, if that sounds interesting to you, if you like it when we go on Star Wars tangents and you want to hear that more, you should watch us live and join us during the break and the post show and the pre-show, because it happens surprisingly frequently.
Frostpunk and cake.
And other things.
Oh, Kerry, the other day, not to just, you said the magic words. When I sent you that,
I told you.
When I sent you that, when I sent you that screen cap from the latest Ahsoka episode, and then I told you what it meant, and you
and I just said no, full stop.
Yeah, you like fully freaked out at the implications of it. So funny. That show's not good.
Who was I seeing? Who who did I saw on Twitter who was saying they were enjoying 3 and 4 more than they liked 1 and 2 episodes of Ahsoka? That is it Dan Golding? I want to say on Twitter.
Right.
Still saying that the writing was leaden, but he was enjoying 3 and 4 as sort of a live action Rebels kind of take.
Yeah, like it is, but it's also like, it's still, it's like look, it's better than 1 and 2, but also holy fuck.
I don't know when or if I'll ever watch that show, and I'm like not sad about it.
I mean, like, look, if you want to keep up to date with the Dave Filoni Star Wars movie that's going to come out in about 3 years.
What's that going to be? What's that called?
It doesn't have a name officially, but it's probably just going to be called Heir to the Empire.
Heir to the Empire.
That's
a good name. That's a good Star Wars name.
It's a good Star Wars name. It's a book that he's lifting a lot of the ideas from, because it's like in a not in a
no in like a comic book adaptation kind of lift.
Yeah, in a like, this book is no longer canon, but like he's lifting a lot of the ideas from that and then adapting it into his own new stories.
Right.
It's like Thrawn
stuff.
Yeah, like Thrawn is known as the heir to the Empire. Like, they've said it, I think, maybe twice in the last 2 series. I think they said it in Mandalorian, or if they didn't.
You love that whole like arc is already muted by the fact that Thrawn's nowhere near episode 7, 8, or 9.
Yeah, but like I mean, look, I don't care. Like, that's fine. Like, you gotta make prequels about things. Like, I didn't. Do you care about Andor? Like even though he dies in Rogue One, like, of course.
No, but that's different. That's a good show.
Yes, I know.
But also, like, it's the thing of like, I don't care necessarily about Grogu going with Luke Skywalker, because I know Grogu's not in like the Jedi. Well, we didn't, but Grogu's not in the Jedi Temple when like that all goes bad.
We don't know that
with Ben Solo. No, we don't. But we could assume now, knowing their actions with Mando season 3.
He's one of the Knights of Ren.
Remember when? Remember when in season 2 of Mandalorian, he has to learn to let go of his adopted son, and then between seasons 2 and 3 of Mandalorian, in a different show, he just goes and readopts him. He just takes him back, and so season 3 starts, and Grogu's just back.
And then on top of that, they double down in that season, and then they bringing him into this cult.
Yep.
And then give him a different name.
Yep.
Ugh. Anyway, Heir to the Empire. Coming to a theater near you in 2026.
Fuck.
They're gonna apparently put the 5th episode of Ahsoka in select theaters around the United States.
I heard that. Is that because it's meant to be amazing, or like?
I doubt it, but like, I have no idea.
Some revelation, some big deal thing, do you think?
Well, so like, the thing that I was like, maybe this character might be Starkiller. That character just died, which was really funny.
Oh, yeah. I also heard that character was just that character, right?
Yeah. Which, like, you know what? Good.
Yeah.
But also,
agreed.
I can, like, who the fuck knows?
Star killed. Hey, let's stop talking about Star Wars. Let's talk about 2013 instead. We're going to do one of our recurring segments here where we go back, we look back at years gone by. We look at the games that have come out within a certain 12-month period, which we call a year. And this one's called 2013.
From July to July.
July 15th to July 14th. No, hey, we're going to rank the games in terms of our personal preferences that came out in 2013. Our personal games of the year, games of the year from 2013. We're talking about this. There's one we'll get to pretty quickly here. That's like, games that we didn't play when they came out, but they are 2013 games. Obviously, yeah, I like that. They're valid. They are part of this conversation. But yeah, it's kind of up in the open. Jeremy, I've just had a thought.
Carry.
Journey came out after Flower, right?
Yes.
Journey came out on the PS3.
Yes.
In like 2012.
Yes.
So Flower can't have come out in 2013.
That is correct.
So why was it on the 2013 Metacritic Best Rated Games list?
Because it got re-released onto the PlayStation 4.
Right. So we're probably not including Flower in our lists.
No.
Despite it making onto both of our shortlists. So.
Yeah, I just put together my shortlist and then I removed some in my head.
It made my honorable. No, it was more than my honorable mention. It was up in there, but
yeah, because
it's not a 2013 game.
Yeah. If you own it was a backwards compatible PS3 to PS4 game, which is why.
Yeah, but surely not that wasn't a launch game. Like, I know when they came through with Flower and Journey and Flow that like
it was really close. It was really close. Yeah.
Metacritic Flower PS4. Let's see what the release date says here.
I remember because one of the reviews that I read for that, because I was like, oh, maybe I'll give it a go, and then one of the reviews was
November 2013. Holy shit!
Yeah, one of the reviews I read, which is weird that I can remember a review from 2013, but like one of the reviews I read was like, yeah, like look, you've already owned it, like you already own it, which I was like, great. And then the review said like somehow they managed to make that game look even better, and I was like, amazing, awesome.
Yeah, that's funny. So one of the reasons why you thought this would be a good one for today as well is because we're coming up towards we're in the final third of the year. But we've said it before, and we'll say it again. It's a completely stacked year for games this year. And so it's interesting to go back and look at one of the more recent years of very stacked games. 10 years ago, to be precise, 2013 is full of some absolute all-timers. And so we're going to do that.
Yeah. It's funny to have this year for games, and we're also having a very similar year for movies.
It feels a little bit like the run out of the COVID slump. You know what I mean?
It kind of, but it's also like one of those things where like eventually all the planets spin around, and they will eventually then all line up.
Yeah.
Every 10 or so years, where like
is this two planets aligning up with video games and movies lining up, or is it that like there's like 10 planets and 5 of them are movies and 5 of them are video games and they're all lining up?
Well, it's like I think it's like there's like 30 games and there's about like six planets, but then June 2 got delayed, and so that one then went out of sync and is going to come around early next year.
Asteroid hit it.
Yeah, but like we've got like a new Michael Mann movie. There's a new Scorsese movie. We've had a new Nolan movie. Like it's just we're eating good.
Barbie was a big deal.
Barbie was a really big deal. We had another Spider-Verse this year, which was a banger.
I still need to see that.
Yep.
Correct.
There's more that I'm not remembering right now, but like there's plenty of really good movies this year. And it looks like there'll be even more.
So look forward to MiniMapCast number 872, where we rank the games from the movies from 2023, 10 years in the past. Look forward to that 10 years in the future.
I would love that.
For now, let's rank the games 10 years from the past from today. I'm going to start with my honorable mentions. Got a couple here. Gone Home is here because that game's pretty fun and a very good walking sim and a good bit of LGBTQ representation in the game space and a great little indie. It never really hit me as hard as it hit other people. That game's about, discovering sexuality and that's not necessarily something I've ever had to do. So maybe it's just, that's why it didn't hit so hard for me, but it's still a wonderful story told wonderfully. So that's there. And Battlefield 4 is here as well. That was a game I was really looking forward to and put it into my computer and it hardly ran. And I suffered through it for a lot of times anyway, through a lot of crashes and a lot of overheating and a lot of blue screens. And eventually, when I updated my computer in 2015, first thing I loaded up was Battlefield 4.
Yeah, nice.
Yes!
I love it when you've got a game that's like you've bought it and it doesn't run very well, but you've got an upgrade just on the horizon and you're so excited.
This was like 18 months after this game came out.
Right. That's
because I didn't have a job when this game came out.
Right. My honorable mentions are Grand Theft Auto 5 because it's one of the it is perhaps the largest game to have ever been made.
That's why it's on your honorable mentions.
Well, like it's a feat of it is both large and also quite deep in a lot of ways. Like in its in its world, in its simulation, in its story, in its characters, in its presentation, all that stuff. Like
it's a very impressive game.
Yeah. Like as a feat, the size of that game is impressive. Just the fact that it works in the way that it does. And my other honorable mention is XCOM. The
Enemy Within, was it?
Enemy Unknown.
Enemy Unknown, that's
Enemy
right.
Unknown. That game is so fucking cool. That is a really...
Yeah, that's one that completely missed me. And I know that basically everyone who played it loves it.
It's really good. You could go back now and that game would still hold up, I feel.
Yeah, totally.
It was the first one of those in a while. I want to say there might have been XCOM games before.
There were ancient XCOM games. Yeah.
It sort of repopularized the turn-based like tactical type of RPG. At least in the tone that we now associate XCOM with. Like we've had games like Gears Tactics since. We've had games like Final Fantasy Tactics in the past, and now the like Triangle Strategy as well. But this type of game, XCOM Enemy Unknown repopularized this type of that tactical shooter.
Of that like cover-based, percentage-based chance.
It's really good.
And also like permadeath and
and you've got like your upgrades and you really get to know like your team and stuff. Anyway, like it's a banger. It's an absolute banger.
So history of I don't know if we want to go this deep, but here we are. The history of the franchise. The first game came out was called UFO Enemy Unknown, which is funny. It's the same subtitle. Also known as XCOM UFO Defense, which would be another territory. Right. There were 6 games in that initial XCOM series, which is X-COM. Last one coming out in 2001. And then when they revitalized the series with Enemy Unknown in 2012, they removed the dash and it was XCOM, one word. And there were 5 or 6 games in that with DLC and a couple of mobile games in there.
It rules. And also like the voiceover, I don't know how much you've seen that game, but the voiceover every time you go back to your base is this really cool, like gruff but like sultry, like Commander. Like it's really good. Really
nice.
Good.
Like sort of like Handler Walter kind of vibes.
Yeah. Like in between,
but in a different setting.
In between Handler Walter and the Arbiter, but like the best of both of those.
Oh, hello.
Yeah. Like he's got a sexy voice like the Arbiter, but also he's got that kind of like authoritative, like 621, I've got a job for you, like, you know, to the point kind of thing. He's not.
So he's
not poetic.
Sure. What kept XCOM out of your top 3?
I think the other games are just like even better.
Yeah. Yep. Cool. Okay. Yep. Cool. Is that it for your honorable mentions, or do you want to give some flowers to Flower?
I
mean, always. But
yeah, always. Like Flower's a PS3 game to me, but yeah.
Yeah, totally. Me too. All right. Well, I'm gonna say my third pick here is The Last of Us, and that's because for me, we were talking about this as we were putting this together before the show. I feel like my listing of The Last of Us here is quite conditional because I actually never played this version of the game. Like I only ever played a 60, well, I guess it wasn't 60 on PS4, but I only ever played a much more high resolution.
Depends on if you did which graphics mode.
Yeah, but when it came out, it didn't have a graphics mode.
On PS4?
It was just the PS4 version. It didn't have a
Yes, it did. It had a
frame or resolution mode, did it?
Yeah, it had a good lighting or bad lighting mode.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Yep. So yeah, I've never played the PS3 version of the game.
It doesn't matter.
Well,
as someone who has played the both PS3 and PS4 version of the game.
I understand they are very like that. It's the same game.
Yes.
It just feels off for me.
I don't know why.
I know it feels a bit pedantic, but either way, The Last of Us is great. Having played it 3 times in the last year on the remake, this first game is really, really, really good. I love what it says. I love how it says it. I like the characters. I like the journey. I like the story. I like the combat. I like the resources. I like the setting. I like the zombies. I think it's really, really cool and really well done. And one of Naughty Dog's best, even after all the hyperbole. It just is.
Yeah, like it is on my list as well. I played it the day it came out on PS3. I played it again on PS4, and I played it again on PS5. I think I think at that time, it was like astounding. I think it has got some age to it.
Definitely.
Which is not necessarily a negative.
In the same way that like Uncharted 1 and 2 do, you know, like it just happens.
Yeah, like
they moved past what made it so unique at the time.
But I think it like I do wonder. Actually, this is not the discussion for this. There's another discussion about thinking about Last of Us as a classic. That is not a discussion that I want to have right now. But yeah, no, like in 2013, even now, like it's still a really excellent game that you can have a blast in from the beginning to the end. Especially on the PS3, like it was one of, if not the best looking PS3 game. It was it was a feat for that console. In a lot of ways. I have the collector's edition somewhere, which came with like the fucking survival Velcro pack thing.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is a certified banger of a video game.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Hard to go wrong with it.
Yeah.
Unless you don't like violence or zombies. Next on my list, we have Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. This game is probably up there. It's probably the second most played Assassin's Creed game for me, next to Assassin's Creed 2.
Yeah, maybe the last truly excellent Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah, I think I could stand by that. You know, had a good time with Unity. Origins and Odyssey are kind of their own thing. Origins is quite good, but Black Flag is such a certifiable hit. It's so good. Such a fun setting. You know, like it was fun when Assassin's Creed originally came out. It was like, oh, a historical setting, the Crusades, or oh, the Renaissance. So like that was cool.
Yeah.
But like they didn't have fun with it in the AC3 times.
It was quite serious and quite.
And also they had to like wrap up Desmond's story, and like it was when they started having their identity crisis, basically.
Yeah.
And AC4, I still maintain, is a bit of a weird left turn. It is part of that identity crisis, but it works in this game. And you know, their crisis continued to turn that series into something that they're only just returning to its roots now, and I doubt it will ever be anything like what it used to be. But man, what a turn it was. Like it just worked. They nailed it.
Yeah.
The beautiful colors of the Caribbean, the laissez-faire attitude of Edward, and his story was quite good to, you know, how he goes from caring not at all about anything. Like the not even just the of the ocean, but also the colors of the sand and the rocks and the ferns and the pine like the palm trees, and you get having all of those different islands you can go to, the ship combat and the shanties and all the collectibles you go to. I 100%ed that game twice because it was just so fun to be in that world, to play as, to go through the story, to just play that game and to go through the checkboxing. It wasn't too big, but it was not too small. Very, 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 very good Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah, like
I should go back, honestly.
Yeah, I think that I don't know if it will be as fun going back to it now, at least at the beginning, because it's got kind of like all of those games had really slow beginnings. There's a lot of like tutorialization, like you head to a port, and there's a lot of talking, and then there's like teaching.
Just remember, Jeremy, this is me.
I know, but like
I used to play Assassin's Creed 2 after I 100%ed it. I used to start it up and run around.
I know, but like it takes you a while before you get to the point where you can run around, is what I mean. Like there's like a good like 4 hours where there's just kind of a lot of slow bits. That was the issue with starting every single Assassin's Creed game. Was always
especially Unity, God.
Well, like I haven't even played Unity, but like for a long time it was all the slow shit with Desmond, and then for a long time it was all the slow shit of like, okay, now here's had to sit on a bench and he, you know, go up to this person and knife them in the back, and there was
and here's when your family dies.
Yeah, and here's. And we're back to the new day again, and all that stuff. Like,
except now you're a voiceless, faceless protagonist.
Yeah, who is incredibly still more likable than Desmond Miles. So like,
no, that's false. You take that back.
I will not. I will not.
Killing Desmond was the worst mistake they ever made for that series.
No, it isn't.
Not the worst. When it was one, it's up there. You know, they brought it back.
I know. Yeah, like, I think that there's a lot of, like, starting those games now, it's not quite as exciting. But, like, once you get there, like, the game rules. Like, I loved Black Flag. I almost 100% of that game. I had the collector's edition for a very long time. I had the big statue of Edward Kenway on the swinging off the rope.
Did you fight the legendary ships in the corners of the map?
I did. The Man of Wars.
Those were excellent.
Awesome. They should make a game about that.
Oh yeah, like the ship combat.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea. You reckon Ubisoft's got the bandwidth for it?
Oh, I reckon that there's probably a company somewhere that there's a country somewhere that they can get the local federal government.
They can get like a community, like a local grant or something to fund the studio, to fund the project.
And there's probably a contract somewhere that they can sign, which means that they have to release it no matter what. But the game's going to be such a slam dunk that I'm sure it'll be all right. Jesus.
I think their closed beta was like 2 weekends ago.
Yeah, they're doing a little bit of like some influencer marketing for it sometime soon. So I reckon we'll see it early next year.
Remember last PAX when you went to see a presentation for it and it had a release date, and now we're coming up to next PAX and the game hasn't come out and it doesn't have a release date?
I do remember that, Kerry.
Hey, what's your next game?
My next game is Link Between Worlds. The Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds.
The Zelda game I really need to play next.
They made a sequel to the greatest Legend of Zelda game, and it also fucking whips. Link Between Worlds is a sequel to Link to the Past. It is so good. It is such a tremendous game. I like to clown on everybody that gets excited whenever Nintendo releases one of their old games and brings it to the Switch and charges them full price. I shall be the clown when this happens. The clown shall be I. I shall be the one.
The Joker is me.
Yeah, the clown shall be me when I pay full price for a remake of this game.
Yeah.
Because it is just so good. All of the different mechanics are so, like, all of the new mechanics in this game are so cool. There's a lot of really wonderful depth puzzles they do in the game. Fucking around with like the 3D mode and being able to see, like, actually feel like you're like in a level above the level that you've just gone through as you're going through different dungeons in that game, and all of the hammers and different items that you've got all feeling like they really made like a Nintendo 3DS video game in Link Between Worlds, as well as the weird like go around the corners of objects Link thing. It's so good. It's such a good game. It's such a 10 out of 10.
I really need to play it. I played the first 20 minutes of it sometime this year. It didn't grab me, but I need to give it longer than that, obviously. You mentioned something just then about how, the 3D effect worked really well with the different like layers in the game. And I'm struck by how Nintendo was so chronically trying to justify their own products with their games.
Yeah.
Which is like not an unreasonable thing to do, but sometimes the things they put in their products were unreasonable. And so like, you get things like in Metroid Prime, you have to like to start up your ship, you have to like pull out the the reactor and turn it, and you have to like touch things on a thing with the motion controls, and then like twist and go, and like, and it's cool, but it's like not necessary, right?
No, of course not.
And it has me thinking a bit more about games that are so classic from this generation, from the Switch generation, and they're games that stand on their feet despite that stuff. You know what I mean? Or rather, like without even trying to jam any of that stuff down your throat. Like they just do things that are good for the game with whatever tools they have available to them. There's gyro controls for Splatoon. Great, that's great. And there's things you could do in Mario, like you take screenshots. Oh, that's interesting. And then you find go into the gallery and then you look at whatever.
Yeah.
And there's none of that like, you know, oh, put your 3D glasses on now kind of moment, you know, like the justify your own purchase of this game with this media that's here to justify why you were here in the first place.
There's this great puzzle in Phantom Hourglass, which like at the very beginning of the game, you get like a map and you have your notebook and you have to transplant the map onto your notebook, and the way you do it on the Nintendo DS is the map gets put on the top screen and your notebook's on the bottom screen, and you're playing the DS open like that, and you have to close the console and reopen it, and then the map has been transplanted onto your notebook. Oh my god,
I love that.
It's so cute, and also if you forget that, then you cannot make progress in that game.
Yep.
Because they tell it to you literally once, and then if you come back to that game, you're like, what am I meant to do here? I've pressed every single button. There's nothing for me to do. And also,
it's funny when games do that. Like there's a moment in Starfield where they tell you at the very start how to turn on your flashlight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they never tell you again.
Yeah.
And so it becomes a thing. I had someone ask me, they're like, hey, Dad, do you remember how to do that? And it's like, yeah, no, you got to hold the scanner button. They're like, oh. Yeah. And otherwise you're just stumbling around in dark caves or dark, like closed down space stations.
Well, the like a bunch of DS emulators had to include a way to emulate closing the DS shell.
Yeah, right. Because of that, like one game and maybe like two others that use
one or two others.
Yeah, because it also makes it go to sleep. So then, like, it's such a. There must be like some certain function that like worked differently on it that maybe like, didn't make it go to sleep.
Like, it's probably just like upon resume or something.
Yeah. God, it's so funny.
I know.
But yeah, the DS, the Wii, the 3DS, and the Wii U all worked very hard to justify themselves. You know, it's like, oh, you could play Super Mario Brothers U and bounce like obstacles or platforms on the screen with the touchpad of the gamepad.
Well, like PS4 and Xbox One games had similar things, but they were always different, right? It was the introduction of the mobile companion apps, I think, is the same field, right? Remember, it was like, you know, launch a missile in your
one. You could join a Battlefield match as a commander and launch, and you could direct where the squads should go.
Yeah.
And they could just ignore your commands because they were humans.
Mm-hmm.
And you could also occasionally launch cruise missiles.
Yeah, and
no fun to play against.
Yeah, and in they used to do in Tom Clancy games all the time. Although like the companion app was such a big thing. I would love to do a deep dive into old companion apps. Knack had a companion app which was a match 3 puzzler.
Whoa, which would give I don't hate that.
It would give you more resources in the game, which was like one of the only enjoyable ways to get that platinum.
Right, okay. I bet the app shut down.
Definitely.
There's the companion app I remember the most that I used the most was the Assassin's Creed Unity one, which was just bad. It was a real-time map, which was great because the one in the game was super laggy. It was still laggy on my phone. But there were chests you could only open by like finding them in your app and like pressing a couple of buttons, and then you could open it in game. I spent way too much time in that app to do boring shit like that.
And like, you know, lest we forget the Fallout 4 companion app, which was the Pip-Boy.
That was one of the most ambitious and honestly one of the best like designed ones in terms of like what it should be able to do.
Wasn't really more useful than just doing it in the game, but a cool idea.
No, because instead of pulling up the inventory screen, you just put the controller down and pick up your phone. Yeah, it's like the same action.
You would pause the game.
Yeah.
And
so
do
you
it on
didn't
your
get
phone.
like mauled to death by a rad roach.
Yeah, yeah.
I always remember when did you ever see that? I think I posted on Slow Mo Guys, but you ever see Gavin prank Dan by just using the app and just dropping all of his health packs?
Yeah, yeah. Or just changing guns and yeah.
Yeah. So my final game on the list here is the Stanley Parable. I think maybe my favorite. It's pretty close between that one and Assassin's Creed 4. And again, probably only because The Last of Us I'm putting here in like a technicality kind of weird way. But Stanley Parable has a permanent place in my heart. I have a soft spot for it in my heart. What's the phrase that I'm looking for?
Soft spot?
I have a soft spot for it.
Yeah.
Is it in my heart or is it just a soft spot?
I think it's just a soft spot.
It's just a soft spot. Okay, I have a soft.
You have a soft heart for it.
My heart is soft for the Stanley Parable.
Yeah.
What a fun game. Like, I feel like you kind of saw a few other things like that from Crows in the intervening years. What was that really small one? Was it accounting or that really small like demo one?
Yeah, accounting. Yeah.
And then they did one which was like a 1 hour demo, and they did a VR thing, and like that sort of irreverent, self-referential, fourth wall breaking, funny narrator.
Yeah.
Like it did kind of play itself out in a way a little bit, and was never quite as good as what happened with the Stanley Parable. Like it kind of only hit as good as it hit that first time.
I just went on the Crows website. At the bottom it says copyright 2014 to 2022 in all capitals. Please don't steal.
I should go back to the Ultra Deluxe, whatever the new version they released last year. They added content to the Stanley Parable.
I did see that. Yeah.
But yeah, that game is so fun.
Yeah.
So fun. Like kind of no matter how you play it.
Mm-hmm.
All the way where the different versions of that game where you play it and you go down a corridor a certain way and you start playing out how Stanley had a panic attack and you find him dead on the street after he had a heart attack.
Yeah.
As if like all of that was made up, but then you wake up in that same area and it's not made up and it's all happening again, and you can follow the lines and you can disobey the narrator and you can continue to disobey the narrator, and it's so fun.
Yeah.
In like a the cake is a lie portal writing kind of way.
But like I think it was
a bit better.
It was a bit better than that, because it wasn't just like how like also random. It was very much like
it was the point.
Yeah, but it was also like it was like intensely surreal. Like and they played off of that, and things didn't just feel like, it wasn't just funny. Like things were wrong and everything felt incorrect and uncanny, and like you were just seconds away from actually figuring out what was going on. But you were actually
then you're back to the start of the loop.
Yeah, but then you go back and turns out there's a whole nother layer above that, right? Like
or once you've done it enough times, the same steps don't do the same thing anymore. And yeah. What a fun puzzle. I never felt like I got there with it. I never felt like I
never finished it either.
I wrapped on Stanley Parable. I just kind of like didn't know what else to do after a certain point.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe its biggest flaw, is that like it's hard for it to like deliver, but it's kind of the point in that it's not there to give you like a linear A to B resolution. So like it feeds into the thesis of the game quite well. What a good game.
What a good game. My final game.
Hit me with your best shot, Jeremy.
Papers, Please. From
Papers, Please. That is not on your list.
It is not on my list. Like I said, I'm just going off vibes.
You misled me.
Papers, Please from Lucas Pope, 2013. One of the most memorable games I have ever played, probably will ever play.
Jeremy, would it surprise you to know that I've played that game and didn't much care for it?
Really?
Yep.
Oh, I thought, to me, Papers, Please is like an all-timer, I think.
And for so many people.
Yeah.
And I'm not here to discourage anyone from thinking that. It's just
Papers, Please, to me, it's like it's interesting because like I think it's it's fun to play. It's not.
It's fun to ruin people's lives.
Well, like, but like it, you know, like as in like the gameplay loop is engaging, is what I mean by it's fun to play. Like I'm not sitting here like smiling as I'm doing it.
Denied.
Yeah. Which I think is interesting because it's like that plays into its narrative of like you're doing work, like and the work is engaging enough that you know how to do the work and you get good at it. And it's interesting to get good at that kind of game or good at that kind of task even. And it's got a wonderful dichotomy of I'm very good at my job, but my job is actually terrible, which is fascinating. And I think that there are not many video games and not many game designers that do that. And I think that Lucas Pope is one of them that does and understands how to toe that line and understands how to make it this incredible piece of media that allows you to think about why I'm taking pride in my work, even though it is somewhat villainous of work.
Lucas Pope looks like a pirate. He's got like a Johnny Depp, like what's his character's name?
He doesn't look like a pirate. He looks like a musketeer.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Jack Sparrow. He's got like a Jack Sparrow facial hair thing going on.
Kinda. But like on top of that, like Papers, Please also dealing with like these really intense themes. Like I think that there are so few games that can be this intelligent because so many games need to be much more commercial than like, and the moment you are commercial, the moment you can't do something like this. Which is just fascinating. Like, and like every time I see a game that's like somewhat inspired by Papers, Please, like I know there's like another like 3D like border control game that's come out semi recently that a bunch of content creators have been playing, and I think that game is like stupid.
Border control.
Well, like, but like that game is like from what I've seen, I've not played it. From what I've seen, that game is not the same level of intelligence. It is like you can, you know, like you can like whack people and you can throw a grenade and all that stuff, and it becomes like a dumb video game. Whereas, you know, while Papers, Please is not, like I said, it's not fun. Like I'm not sitting here like happy to do this, but it is so like that's the point of it. It is so direct in that way. It's a masterpiece of a game. As is basically everything Lucas Pope does. Yeah.
He hasn't done much since that Playdate game he made after Obra Dinn, but I'm very excited for whatever comes next from him.
Well, like the Mars After Midnight is his next Playdate, is the Playdate game. That's his next game.
Right. Oh, it hasn't come out yet?
No.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Yeah, no, he's still working on it.
I was just going through his Twitter then, and it looks like he did a complete engine rewrite of Papers, Please recently.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
And he said, I expect it to fix old problems and introduce new ones in equal measure.
Yeah. Yeah. He's quite funny. Because Mars After Midnight was finally playable at whatever the most recent PAX was, PAX West, I think.
PAX West, yeah.
Which is exciting. That there's another Lucas Pope game coming out. That is just an exciting thing to be able to say, that there's another game from Lucas Pope.
Yeah, I don't like that it's on such a weird console that I'm definitely not going to buy.
You should buy that thing. It's cool.
I'm not buying a Playdate or an Analog Pocket.
They're very different consoles.
They're too expensive for something I'm going to use twice.
What? No, what? You get a new game every week on the Playdate. You use it every week.
Oh yeah, do you have one, Jeremy?
No, but that's only because I just didn't have the money. I would have.
Okay. Do we know someone who does have one? Ollie's got one, right?
Yep. It's great.
Hey, do you know how often he uses it?
He's brought it to work almost every day.
Okay, well, fair enough. I lost that battle.
Yep. You seem
My point has been squashed.
You seem like actively defensive against buying a Playdate,
I just know I'm not going to play it. I just know I'm gonna use it twice, probably not enjoy it that much, and not use it again.
Why would you not enjoy it that much?
Because it's just a little like Game Boy screen, and I would rather play Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, but do you know how the
yeah, there's like 50, you buy it and you get like a year pass, and they send you a new game every week, and it's got a crank on it, and like that's it.
Yeah, but like you say that's it, as if that's not like a kind of...
That's not enough for me. It's not appealing.
Oh, you seem very upset at the concept of this thing.
I'm not upset. I'm just like, I guess I thought this was a relatively justifiable opinion, and I feel challenged, and and I am defending myself, because if my opinion on games is wrong, then I must be a bad person, and I'm not a bad person, Jeremy. Anyway, welcome to my Twitter rant.
Yeah.
That was the heavy dose of sarcasm there, everyone, in case you couldn't tell.
Anyway,
yeah, no, I think it's neat. I think it's just too much money, and I wouldn't use it.
Right. I'm very upset that I don't have one, and I'm very upset that I haven't been able to.
You could buy one and have it arrive in 2025.
Yeah, like I think like they're getting faster.
Get stuck in the Suez Canal in the meantime.
I think that they're getting faster at being shipped at the moment, which is good, because like I've been thinking about it. There's already 25 games on there. So
it didn't only release half a year ago.
I think so.
I thought it's been out for like 18-24 months.
I don't think so.
Oh my god!
It's been shipping for 1 year, exactly 1 year.
Yeah, release date April 18th, 2022.
Right.
Okay, that makes more sense. That's like nearly 18 months. Okay, I'm not going crazy. Much.
Right, Playdead rules, and Lucas Pope rules, and Papers, Please
Lucas
rules.
Pope does rule. And so does Obra Dinn and Papers, Please, and Stanley Parable, and The Last of Us, and Link Between Worlds, and XCOM, and Flower, and Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Most of those games came out in 2013, and it was an excellent year.
What game didn't come out in 2013?
Obra Dinn.
Oh, sorry. Right. I forgot that you were... Yeah, right, okay.
Yeah, the consoles came out. Xbox One and PS4 came out.
Yeah, like I was going...
The only like launch games that we mentioned was Battlefield 4, and I was playing it on PC, and Assassin's Creed 4, and I was playing that on PC too.
Yeah, look, I was going through a list of things that happened in 2013 in video games. And like realistically, aside from the new generation of consoles,
yeah,
it was not a big year in terms of like news.
No, I mean it was that every like 1 to 2 months we'd have an update from one manufacturer or the other or both.
Yeah.
And then E3 was huge, and then it was like, oh, hands-on with the controllers and like Dead Space previews, not Dead Space, Dead Rising previews and Rise Son of Rome previews and all of that. Like,
yeah,
like
Knack and Killzone Shadowfall.
2013. Yeah, exactly, a Knack.
Yeah.
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 So like, funny the PS4 like won the like the launch with their shitty launch lineup. They had nothing.
They had one banger game, which was Resogun.
Yeah, and then Blacklight Retribution came out on it for free not long after, which was like fine.
Yeah,
But Xbox shat the bed so badly that it was good enough for them to be in first place.
Yeah, they Bradbury'd it.
Oh, and they got COD. They got the Call of Duty like 1 month multiplayer map early access thing that Xbox had for the generation.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. It's time to go to bed. Time to go home. That's it. It's like the Black Books episode where it's like, shops closed, everybody get out. Goodbye, I have to do my tax.
Mm-hmm.
Except we're much nicer than Bernard Black is, who is the proprietor of the Black Books from the show Black Books. That is the end of this episode, though, for the MiniMapCast. Thank you so much for listening, making it all the way through here, through a surprising number of just very disjointed rants. We appreciate your company. If you want to check out our next episode, which may have more or less disjointed rants, you can follow all of our socials at MiniMapAU to find out when we're next recording live. You can follow us individually as well. Jeremy, where can they follow you on Twitter and all other places?
At Obi-Wan Jazz.
You can follow me on Twitter at KJPalmer_24 or Blue Sky at KJ Palmer. That's where I'm preferring to spend most of my socials time. And then other platforms, they're all different, so I don't remember them. But they're out there. Don't you worry, they're out there. It's just like the X-Files. You can also head to minimap.com.au for absolutely everything else Minimap related, including the Minidisc Game Club podcast, our latest written articles, our pecking order, pop culture kissability ranking podcast. It's all there for you. For those of you live with us on Twitch, stick around. We're about to start the post show. We're going to go through some potential topics that we might go through in the coming weeks and months. For those of you listening later, make sure to give us those positive ratings wherever you're listening to or watching us. Consider joining us next week if you're free on Monday for the live show. It's a really good time. Lastly, you could support us on Patreon if you choose to. If you wanted to support us monetarily to help us keep the lights and mics on, that's over on patreon.com/minimapau. And for $5 you get 24 hours of early access for all episodes of the MiniMapCast, as well as some more benefits, all while helping us out greatly. We're going to head off now. Have a good week, everybody. I think next week is Lies of P, maybe? I don't know. That's coming soon. Anyway, we'll see you next week.